It was a Tuesday, just like any other Tuesday. The sun was doing its usual lazy climb into the sky, casting long, sleepy shadows across my bedroom floor. I was running late, as usual, a frantic dance of mismatched socks and frantic searching for my keys. I had a big presentation at work, one of those make-or-break moments that career coaches love to talk about. The pressure was on. I rushed past the big, ornate mirror in the hallway, the one my grandmother had left me. It was an antique with a heavy, dark wood frame carved with intricate leaves and vines. I'd always found it a bit imposing, a bit too grand for my modest apartment. It stood there like a silent, judging sentinel. As I flew past, a blur of toast crumbs and nervous energy, I caught my own reflection in the corner of my eye. I didn't think much of it. I was just a whirlwind of activity, a woman on a mission. But then, a few steps down the hall, something felt off. It was a subtle feeling at first, a tiny itch at the back of my mind. A sense of dissonance, like a single note played out of key. I stopped, my hand hovering over the doorknob. The frantic energy of the morning suddenly evaporated, replaced by a still, cold curiosity. I turned back slowly, my heart starting to beat a little faster. I looked at the mirror, and I saw her, me, standing perfectly still. My breath hitched in my throat. I was standing in the middle of the hallway, a good 10 feet away from the mirror, but my reflection was right there, pressed up against the glass, unmoving. I hadn't moved back. I was still by the door. But there she was, staring out at me. We looked identical, of course. Same messy bun, same slightly too big blazer I'd thrown on, same look of bewildered panic starting to creep across our features. Well, my features. Her expression was completely blank. I took a hesitant step back, my shoes making a soft scuffing sound on the hardwood floor. She didn't move. She just stood there, a perfect frozen replica of me from a moment ago. My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation, a trick of the light, a sudden bizarre migraine causing a visual hallucination. Had I finally cracked under the pressure? I blinked hard, trying to reset my vision, trying to will the world back to normal. But when I opened my eyes, she was still there, unwavering, and then she did something. It was small, almost imperceptible. Her head tilted just a fraction of an inch to the left. It was a slow, deliberate movement, completely independent of my own. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a trick of the light. This was real. A smile began to spread across her face. It wasn't my smile. My smiles were warm, a little crooked. The smile was wrong. It was too wide, too sharp. A predator's grin stretched across my own features. The corners of her lips pulled back in a way that looked unnatural, painful even. Her eyes, my eyes, glinted with a cold, knowing intelligence that sent a shiver of pure terror down my spine. It was a look of triumph. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't scream. I was paralyzed, locked in a silent, terrifying standoff with myself. It felt like an eternity passed as we just stared at each other. Me, rooted to the spot by fear, and her, that thing in the mirror, enjoying my terror with that awful, grotesque smile. I finally broke. I ripped my gaze away, spun around, and yanked the front door open. I didn't grab my bag, I didn't grab my keys. I just ran. I sprinted down the apartment hallway, down the stairs, and burst out into the morning light, gasping for air as if I'd been holding my breath for hours. The city sounds, the cars, the distant sirens, they were the most beautiful things I'd ever heard. They were normal. I didn't go to work, how could I? I spent the day in a coffee shop on the other side of town, nursing a single cup for hours, my hands trembling so badly I could barely hold it. I tried to reason with myself. Maybe I was just exhausted, overstressed, maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. The more I thought about it, the more I tried to convince myself it was a hallucination, a waking nightmare brought on by too much caffeine and not enough sleep. By evening, I had almost managed to believe it. Going home was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Every step toward my apartment building felt like wading through thick mud. I stood outside my door for a long time, my heart hammering against my ribs. Finally, I took a deep breath and went inside. The first thing I did was look at the hallway. The mirror was there. I approached it with a caution usually reserved for unexploded bombs. I peered into the glass. And there was my reflection, normal. It moved when I moved. It mirrored my fearful expression perfectly. I waved a hand and it waved back. I let out a shaky sigh of relief that was so profound it almost brought me to my knees. It had been in my head, just stress. Thank goodness. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the old building, every shadow in the corner of my room sent a fresh wave of anxiety through me. I kept the lights on, huddled under my blankets like a child. I kept thinking about that smile, that cold, predatory smile. The next morning, exhaustion finally won, and I managed to drift into a fitful, dream-filled sleep. I woke up late, the sun already high in the sky. My head felt fuzzy, and my body ached with tension. I stumbled out of bed and into the hallway, my mind still thick with sleep. I needed coffee. I needed to feel normal again. I walked past the mirror just like I did every day. But as I passed, that same feeling from yesterday returned. That feeling of something being wrong. I stopped, my blood turning to ice water in my veins. I didn't want to turn around. I was terrified of what I might see or what I might not see. Slowly, deliberately, I forced myself to turn and face the mirror. The antique frame was there, the carved leaves and vines catching the morning light. The glass was polished and clean, but it was empty. I stepped closer, my heart pounding in my ears. I was standing right in front of it, less than a foot away, and there was nothing, no reflection. The mirror showed only the wall behind me, the doorway to the living room, the painting on the far wall. It was like I was invisible, like I didn't exist. I reached out a trembling hand and touched the cold surface of the glass. My fingers met with smooth, unyielding resistance. But on the other side, there was nothing. No reflected hand reaching back to meet mine. And then I understood. The panic from yesterday was nothing compared to the dawning horror that was now creeping over me. That thing in the mirror, the one with the horrible smile, it hadn't just been a reflection, it had been waiting. And yesterday, when it smiled at me, it wasn't just trying to scare me. It was saying goodbye, it had left, it was out, and I was trapped here, the reflection that stayed. I looked around my apartment, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like a cage. And for the first time, I wondered, where did my reflection go? And what was it doing out there in the world with my face? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more chilling tailies. See you next time.